Okay, everyone, I think we'll get started. I'm sure we'll have others join us. I want to give you a kind of big picture of what the midterm is going to be like, so you can get an idea, tell you what's expected of you. And then what I'd hope is that at the end of that, you just give me some questions and we'll do it. And so let's get the show on the road. So first thing I'm going to do, I hope, is, yes, this one. Right, hopefully you're looking at, in this particular case, one of our statistics class, and this is in Canvas. Great, okay. Now, I don't know what you don't know, so I'm probably going to be talking to people who say, yeah, I already know this, but not everyone does. In Canvas, there are lots of resources that you can use to get yourself ready for the midterm. This bunch of stuff in here actually contains questions from homework. So if I click on 7, it's a very popular one for questions. And then you click on that little guy there, and you see all those videos. And so you click on one, you can watch it. So these are people who've came to my office and had a question, and if it was something I thought would be helpful, I put it here. So I would suggest that you use that as one of your resources. Karen was talking earlier about the videos, so let's show you where those guys are hiding, and you see them down here. And for every video, there's also some lecture notes. So if you click on, say, the lecture notes, it gives you, some people like to see things like written down, and it helps for them. And then we have videos. I don't know which one. I'm picking 7, so let's just stick to 7. We click on that. There's a whole load of videos. The ones that look a little bit different are just closed captions, because one of our students needs to see the instructions. If you hit the little baby one, this one's one of our professors, and he goes over and tells you stuff. So think of these as resources. There's nothing graded in here. This is just stuff that will help you for your midterm. Your midterm exam, all of this stuff, including practice questions and all that, will disappear. So when you go into Canvas, the only thing that you will see will be one of the modules, and it will be called probably something like midterm exam. And in that midterm exam, you'll pretty much get most of what's here. Now, a lot of people haven't done the extra credit, so I'm going to use that as an example. When you do your midterm, it's on WebAssign, just like homework, right? And you can start your midterm anytime. I think it's from 9 to, God, I can't remember what the last person needs to do it, but whenever you turn up, you'll go to and click on the Zoom meeting, and I will see you. And I need to see you while you're doing the test, which will last anything up to 3 hours. And then when you're finished that, I'm going to have to try and mute some of you. You can hold off a second. Who can I mute? I'm trying to mute everyone. That's not easy. Oh, darn it in space. I've lost you. Okay, whoever making the noise, if you could stop it for me, that would be great. Where was it? Right, we got the midterm. You're going to do it on WebAssign. When you're finished, there is one last thing you need to do. You need to upload it. And this little guy in here that's worth 1.5% is a practice at doing that. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on this guy, and it'll look just like this, just have a different heading. And you're going to, in my case, since I've done it before, you're going to do this. And then you're going to, this is what you'll probably see. You're going to upload the file. Then you're going to choose a file. And that file will be something that you've already created. So you've got Adobe Scan, you've took pictures of all their working, you've turned it into a PDF, you've saved it on your desktop probably, pretend that's it, and you go open, and then submit. And once you've done that, you are finished. That's the last thing you need to do in your midterm. So there's a 1.5% extra credit for you to practice doing that with 3 random pages. I've already got one person decided they were going to do stick figures. That's fine. I can't remember. Somebody did something in nursing, which was really boring, but evidently they thought it was interesting. I don't care what it is. It's just to just to get you practice at taking pictures of something and using Adobe Scan to turn it into a single PDF. And the reason I need to see the working is not every question, by far, not every question is going to have working. But there are questions where you physically do calculate, multiply, square root, add, all that kind of stuff. You know, like the tree diagram question where you build a tree? Anything that looks like that would be the candidate for you to show me working. Okay, so far so good. Is there any questions about what I've said so far? I'm going to...
Do we upload that after the fact then? We can use our phone to take those pictures and upload it once the test is over?
Yes, that's exactly what I want you to do.
Okay, thank you.
Couple of reasons.
OneNote, is that okay?
Say again, Destiny?
If we use OneNote, is that okay as well?
Yeah, if you've got a printer that scans, that's fine. I give Adobe Scan because on that screen, I don't know if I'm still sharing it. You can, oops, I'll scroll it down. You can use Adobe Scan, but other people have got other things that do the same job. I'm really not too worried how it turns into a PDF, as long as it turns into a PDF and you upload it.
Okay, thank you.
Now, let's stop sharing this one and now take you to a new screen. Hopefully, or not.
Just to reiterate, what you were just showing us was literally just to upload the 1.5% credit, not what we're anything else. Okay.
There'll be a totally different version of that, which will be for your midterm. That one that you see will have disappeared. So there'll only be one guy left. So when you go on Monday on the midterm, you will just see one thing in Canvas, the place where you would upload your stuff, right? And a few other extra helps. So since the midterm is open book, you need to get your own notes. Don't expect to go into Canvas and say, oh yeah, there was a good notes there on chapter 3. I'll just go and read it because it won't be there anymore. Don't go to WebAssign and say, oh, I remember doing a question like that in, Homeworks chapter 7, because WebAssign will have disappeared except for the test. That's the only thing you'll see in WebAssign on Monday. So you can use any notes you've got, but you're going to have to create them or photocopy them or do what you do to have them ready for you. I am now very slowly, not too good at my eyesight, not that one.
Will we have access to our online textbook, or is it only if we have the physical copy as well?
The online textbook will still exist, so you will have access to that. Okay, something went horribly wrong, as they say. Ah, I found it. I'll put that over there. You don't know, anybody who's had me before know I complain about this. I have to have about 6 windows open to do all the things I'm doing, right? So I'm forever chasing windows to find out what's going on. Right, so let's go to that next thing I wanted. Right. What you should be looking at right now is a kind of pretend version of what you'll see on the day of the midterm. See if I can make this a little bit bigger. Right. You see that guy that says placeholder for midterm? That will be the real midterm, right? Now, let's show you what's expected of you. All the questions come from WebAssign. So that means you will have seen something like it somewhere before in your homework, right? So there shouldn't be any surprises. They're not going to ask you something that you haven't been asked somewhere else, right? Or read notes about it, or at least. So some of your questions are going to look like this, where you just pick an answer. But there's going to be something different about this. Do you remember you get 5 guesses? So you might be thinking, I'll just keep guessing till I get the right answer. Well, watch what happens. I'll submit. It hasn't told me whether I'm right or wrong. And I can change one of the answers and submit it again. And it still won't tell me if I'm right or wrong, which means you do need to know what the right answer is. So if you were thinking, oh, that's going to be an easy 5 points or whatever, it's not anymore, right? That type of question where you're given 5 choices and you pick somebody, I do not expect working from that, right? You're not going to take a picture of that and upload it, right? Ain't going to happen, right? I don't expect to see it. You're right or you're wrong, so try and be careful. Do you know if you write good notes then, couldn't you probably answer these questions? Now, if I scroll down to show you a different kind of question where, again, I wouldn't be expecting to see any working. They tell you something up here and you put in a number, you choose one of these. Oh, do you see that little dark one that says 31? That's because I already had 5 shots. Now, you don't need to have 5 shots. If you're pretty sure on the first shot, leave it alone, right? But you only get 5 shots, so you can't keep doing it until you get bored. But again, there is nothing in question 2 that requires me to see any working. So on the day of the midterm, if you're on a question 9 and you're saying, should I show working for question 9? I'll have a quick look and I'll say, nope, I don't want to see any working. Or I might say, well, it would be nice if you told us how you got the standard deviation, right? Could you show me the calculation that you used to do that? You know, that kind of question. Here's another one where different kind of information, but no working. Just put in the answers. Does anybody recognize that question? It's to do with 5-figure summaries and quartiles, if you wanted to find out. Here's regression. Now, in the regression question, there's a formula right at the top here. You see that guy up there? This is the first time I would want to see some working. Not in here, you just pick whatever you think the right answer is. But in this question, a certain state has 4%. So you go up here and you do 575, take away 1.11 times 4, right? And then you write the answer is, I'm making up a number, 75. Now, I will see working for that question, right? Because there was something you needed to do, right? Even if it was a simple calculation and you only hit some buttons on your calculator, write it down. And there are 2 reasons why I want you to do that. And the first one is really for your benefit. If you screw up by hitting 75 when you meant to hit 57, you know the kind of things you do when you get nervous. I will have seen the calculation and I'll say, she just hit the wrong button, or he hit the wrong button, or you rounded off wrongly in some way, you know. You'll get most of the points if it's mostly correct, right? So you get partial credit. WebAssign isn't that generous. Do you know if you type in the wrong answer, WebAssign gives you big fat zeros, doesn't it? As you've probably all experienced. So that's why I want to see working. And the second one is for security. On the day of the midterm, I need to see you. I need to physically see you. Because you could have your big brother behind you pointing out the answers and quietly writing them down, right? So that's to make it fair, right? Everyone gets treated the same way.
Professor,
Yes.
how do we go on WebAssign and still have you see us?
If you've got a webcam, I will see you whether you're on WebAssign or not. If
Okay.
you don't have a webcam, you use your phone to log into Zoom, and the camera on your phone, I can use that to see you.
So
And then
if
you
we're
computer to do the test.
if we're on Zoom and on WebAssign, you can still see us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you on your computer right now?
Yes.
I can see you.
Okay.
Okay, so not a problem.
All right.
So if you're lucky enough to have a camera on your computer or your laptop, it's easy. If you don't have a camera, right, a webcam, use your phone. Just log into Zoom, go and download the app. It works for the Mac and the Android. And that way you can just like place it on something, and I'll say things like, Chris, why can I see your feet? I'd like to see your head. Could you move your camera up a bit or something, right? Also, being on Zoom is going to be helpful for you. If a question is very badly phrased, you could say to me, what are they actually wanting in question 7? And I'll try and tell you. So it's helpful.
I have a question.
Yes.
I was reading the email saying that we can come on and do our test from 9 to 6 p.m.
Yes.
And we have a 3-hour time limit once we enter the Zoom meeting. Is that what?
Not
I just wanna
entering
make
the
sure that's
Zoom
right.
meeting. The clock won't start until you click on the WebAssign midterm exam. See, the minute you click on it, see how right now I'm in it? There's a clock ticking right now, not that it matters, right? But it's a 3-hour clock. What will happen is at the end of that 3 hours, it will just lock you out. So make sure that you know, you have everything done before then. Now you might, I expect most people to be finished before 3 hours, right? But you know, it's better to have more time than not enough. Okay, so Haley, you might decide 10 o'clock works for me, right? Because I've got classes that I have to do, and you know, I'm going to start work at whatever. So when you come in, you'll turn up in Zoom, and I'll see Haley, and I'll say, okay, there's Haley, and then I can check that you haven't started too early, because I have, you know, I will check things like that. Just in case you have a nasty suspicion, I'll go in half an hour early, cheat and get as many answers as I can, and then I'll suddenly appear in Zoom, and that'll be fine. I will know the minute you hit that button, right? So don't do that, please. Make sure you're in Zoom, and then you can hit on the button and do the WebAssign test, right? And it tells me the minute someone clicked on it. So I'll know, why is Haley doing the test and she's not here yet? Right? Not saying you would even think about doing that, but you know, as an example. Okay. Back to this guy. Show me working. Question 5. There's working in that one. Now, here's where it gets a little bit messy. Some of the questions have a salt button on them. Have you noticed that? Some questions use salt. It's a piece of software that allows you to do calculations. You can do question 6 using the salt button. And if you do that, all I will see are the answers. You can also do question 6 by hand. And if you do it by hand, I would like to see your answers. You know, you're working. On the other hand, question 7, there isn't any other way to do it except probably using salt. And question 8, you do salt. So let's pick one. Let's suppose I do this one, right? Find the following probabilities where X is the pulse rate of adult females. The mean is 73. The standard deviation is 8, and it's normal. And I'm being asked to find what's the probability that you have a heart rate, a female will have a heart rate less than or equal to 71. Right? If I use salt, you click on that. It's normal distribution. You type in the mean, which is 73. You type in the standard deviation, which I believe was 8. You want to be less than, which is left-tailed. And then here you put in, oh, darn it, I forgot what the number is. Can we pretend the number was less than 120? That's ridiculous. Less than 88. And that guy there is your answer. And by the way, that's the Z-score, if you wanted to know what the Z-score was. Now, can you see in a question like that, if I now return to the question, okay, it was 71, so I should be able to make it the real question. That guy would be my answer. And he would go there. What kind of accuracy do they want? They want 4. So I guess that becomes 3. Now, can you see in that question, there's no working again. It was all done using the software. So you just have to be really careful when you do anything that is using salt, because, you know, you could put in 17 when you thought it was 71 or something, and that'd be a little bit awkward. Okay, questions again. Let's finish with questions and answers. What you got?
What hours are the tests open?
I think I'll start at 9. I'm finishing at 6 with one exception. Somebody else has got a special situation that I've accommodated for. But
Okay,
anywhere
thank
from
you.
6 to 8, right? 6 is it 9 till 6.
It's sorry, I have a really quick question. I was on there earlier and I saw it posted on there. I hadn't clicked on it, but it said it was due Saturday.
Oh
And,
no, you haven't clicked on the real midterm. You can click on that as much as you like.
oh, okay. So that's like a study guide. Okay. I just
Not
make-
even as not so much a study guide, just a kind of I show you what the questions look like. It's not big enough
okay.
to be a study guide, but you can get the answers wrong and not do the answers or just look at it, just to give you a feel for what it looks like. And you see, it's really just homework, isn't it? It's just homework questions, just a very big group of homework questions that are worth a lot of points.
Okay, I was just confused when I saw it and I kind of panicked for a little second, like, because I didn't know if it was on Saturday because of it. Thank you for clearing that up.
Not a problem. Any other questions, guys?
Somebody
Guys,
asked how
I
many
have a-
questions there were.
Right, so someone, let's close this thing off. Where I can see more people's faces. Right, who's got your next question? So, did somebody put it in the chat? I think someone was
Yeah.
saying that. How many questions in the test? That's a very good question. I haven't finished doing the midterm yet, so I can't tell you for sure because I keep changing my mind. But right now, it looks like it's going to be about 25, give or take a few.
So do we need to turn in that?
Say that again,
placeholder?
Sai?
Do we need to turn in the placeholder, the sample you just show us as a homework, or just look at it?
Yeah, you can look at it. The
But
real
we-
midterm won't appear until
No,
until Monday the 2nd. That's
I mean,
the real midterm.
I mean, do we need to turn in that, do that sample? Like, because you put like homework, something like that. Do we
No.
need to-
Don't even think of it as homework.
Okay, thank you.
That's going to disappear on Saturday, like it was never there. It's just something to look at. That's all it was. It's not anything you need to do. You can choose to, play about with it just to get a feel for it. I just want you to notice that, it doesn't tell you if you're right or wrong. You still get 5 shots. And some questions need working, some don't, and some use salt, right? I just want you to get that flavor of the kind of things that you're going to see, right? That's all that is. It's nothing more than just
Is the
kind
is
of
the
things you're going to see.
is the entire exam on WebAssign, or is also
Yes.
part of it a PDF?
Nope, it's all WebAssign, nothing else.
Thank you.
Do you have to go in and grade our test, or will they be graded after it's finished?
Oh God, grading is a nightmare. Not that it's your fault, but I think it's called karma. If I give you 3 hours of horrible stress, then it's only fair that I get 6 hours of horrible grading at the other end. So don't talk to me on Tuesday because I will not be here for anything because I will be grading like a demon. Because what I have to do is I have to go through all 75 of you and check every question on WebAssign. Then I have to check any working that was associated with that. And then I have to adjust the points accordingly. Then I have to add the whole blinking thing up. And then I have to do my spreadsheet stuff. And then I have to put it all together. And then I will eventually send you out this is your grade, like end of week 4 kind of thing, right? You'll just get another one saying, I don't know what I would call it, midterm grade, right? Something like that. And you'll be able to see on it what you got. Now, the midterm's worth 30% of your grade. And your homework, I forgot how many weeks there are, all 7 weeks of your homework is only worth 30%. So if you're thinking scale wise, you really, really want to do the best you possibly can on this. I notice some people have been fighting schedules and you've been asking for extensions, which you're allowed, but you won't get an extension on this one. There's no point in you doing the last 4 sections after the midterm, right? Just no point. The damage will have been done. So I'm not worrying you, I'm just being honest. You've got to have all the stuff done so that you can spend what time you've got left getting ready for this midterm. So don't be a Sunday, 10 o'clock at night, I'll finish the last 4 sections. That never ends well. Yeah, we need a joke since that's quite serious. James, have you got a really corny joke for us?
I think I do.
Go for it.
There was a musician who went on a cruise, and a guy who does little tricks. And on the cruise, the captain had a parrot, and every time he did a trick, the parrot would tell, like, it's under his sleeve, it's under his sleeve, and then the people go, oh, it's under his sleeve, and he's spoiling every trick. And then halfway through the cruise, the boat got struck by something and it sunk. And as it was going down in the confusion, the guy, he jumped out and got on the boat, and it was a little foggy, but after it cleared away, he realized there was a parrot on the other side of the boat. And so they stared at each other for 3 days and didn't say a word. And then finally, the parrot broke out and goes, okay, I give up. What'd you do with the boat?
Oh God, I've had a bad effect on you, James. That is the quality of my jokes. That is just how bad they are. That is so bad, I like it.
I was just thinking
gonna
he was
ask-
your twin.
What was that, Tarrant?
I said I was just thinking he's like your twin.
Oh,
I was
I've been
going
to
to ask
too
if
many
you had
classes.
6 hours of hell per person, or is it?
no, God, no. It'll take me about a day to grade it, hopefully. Right, I need to tell myself a joke just to get that joke out of my head, James. But it's kind of hard. I picked Scottish jokes because they're the ones that. Right, if you've never heard me, Scottish jokes, at least the ones I remember, are quite cruel. Most Scottish jokes, somebody dies. So I'm warning you up front, nobody get killed in the making of this joke, right? So it's a joke. So 2 Scots guys were in a bar chatting away, and they didn't know each other. And anyway, the conversation got round to their lives, and the guy said, are you married? He says, I was married 3 times. The guy said, that's a lot. He says, what happened to your first wife? He says, well, I married her, and 2 days later she died. She ate poison mushrooms. And the guy said, oh, that's a tragedy. Well, what happened then? He says, well, a couple of years went by and I met another woman and we got married, and 2 days later she died. And the guy says, well, what killed her? Oh, she ate poison mushrooms. And he's beginning to look at him and think, oh, okay. He says, well, what happened to your third wife? He says, well, a few years later, I married to a third woman, and 2 days later, she died. And he looks at it and said, look, it wasn't poison mushrooms, was it? He said, no. She broke her neck. He said, how did that happen? Oh, she wouldn't eat the poison mushrooms. Come on, Nathan, you must admit that is a bad joke.
What? Where are you talking? What? No, it's not a bad joke. How dare you? Come on.
Okay, is there any more questions and answers? Your time is valuable. I don't want to keep you longer than you want. Yeah.
There's a couple in chat.
Okay. Chat's a bit hard for me to see with the windows. Let's see. Will this be recorded? Yeah, this will be recorded. It will be online tomorrow. Another question, will there be extra credit for the test? No. The only extra credit that is the 1.5% extra credit that hopefully every single person here will do. You know that one where you upload 3 stick men and put it in that thing I showed you at the start of today, right? Plus you get 0.5% every time you don't ask for an extension. And so that means everybody's guaranteed 0.5% for week 4, because there are no extensions for week 4. Can you use notes? Yep. Anything you physically can write down is yours. What's not allowed? You're not allowed to phone a friend. You're not allowed to have your big sister whisper to you the answer. You're not allowed to go online and ask a tutor or anything. Like, just don't communicate with anything, computer or person. That's probably the easy way. Living or dead. Any other questions? I don't know what oof means, unless that's something to do with how bad my joke was.
It's a Gen Z thing.
I don't know what a Gen Z thing is. Is that, oh, that's a Gen Z meaning. God, I'm getting so old, I don't know what generation is. Is Gen Z the last one, the one that's going on right now?
Yeah, there's like 3 others too.
So that's just a phrase that they use.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yes, I had the so. Who is it? Sounds like a start of a. I hear you. Go for it.
Okay, so as soon as we're done taking the test, we won't be able to see like the automatic score it gives us. On WebAssign, you're gonna go in manually and kind of we'll get the grades a week after, you said?
No, I think I might have came across wrong. No, once you've finished doing it, you won't see a score. You won't even know what you've got. Once you're finished, I will be spending all day Tuesday grading it. So I will go into WebAssign and look at your answers and grade them. Okay. So it'll be that's kind of how it will work. It does mean that you won't be able to get a solution, and you might think, well, why not? One of the clever things that WebAssign does is it changes the numbers for each question. But there's a second layer of security. It allows me to pull questions. So what I can do is I can find 4 questions that are just similar to each other, but different storylines or different, slightly different versions of them. And so when you put them into a pool, Chris gets one and Michael gets another. And even if Emma gets the same question as Chris, she'll get different numbers. So there's no point in you contacting Chris or Emma or Michael and say, I'm on question 7. How do you do it? Because his question 7 won't be her question 7. Do you see? It's another security thing. Nobody wants anybody to cheat, but it's only fair, that we all are on a level playing field, right? That nobody's got an unfair advantage by doing something dishonest. So it wouldn't even help you to phone a friend, as I'm mumbling there, because your friends won't be doing the same question as you. And even if they do the same question, which is, I guess, a 1 in 4 chance, it won't have the same numbers.
Okay. And then another question I had is if we'll be able to use the notes in the textbook, like what the textbook says when you ask, read this question, like the information
yes,
that gives.
the textbook part will still be there. So if you get a click on, you could just go to the textbook, right? The online textbook, and do it that way. That isn't a problem to me, because the only problem I would have, and it's really your problem, not mine, is if you have to do that for every question, you won't finish.
Okay,
you gotta know the answer to some stuff, or else you'll never finish it in time. But if you make your own notes, which are I think your own notes are better than, just, those things where you click and you go and read it, and you have to go through 5 pages before you actually find the bit in the book that's really to do with what you wanted. I mean, and during the test, you're stressed out enough, right? It's much better to have your own notes. I like people who make notes that make no sense to anybody except themselves. That's the only thing your note should be. If somebody else reads them and they say, what the heck does that mean? You say, I know what it means. That's all that matters. Give you an example, just to show you what could happen. This might be someone's notes on a very common kind of question. Do you know the kind of question that you have a tree diagram with, right? And you got, you remember the one to do with the 20 children and say 5 were right-handed and 15 were left-handed, which would be really weird, but let's pretend it is. And you pick 2 children and you go, one child, and they could be left-handed, they could be right-handed, left-handed, right-handed. Do some of you recognize that question, right? So what I might do is I might write a pretend version of that question up here, and then I would be putting in numbers, and I would be putting in left-handed is 15 out of 20, and then right-handed would be 5 out of 20. And then I might do a little bubble, which might not make any sense to anybody else. And I'd say, this is 15 left-handed out of 20 kids. And that might help me to remember. Now, this one was without replacement. So when you come to pick the second child, you know there's only 19 kids. And if that kid was left-handed, the chances that the second child is also going to be left-handed is now 14/19. And I might have put a little bubble out here and I'll say, look, it's 19, not 20. Because that's the bit I keep forgetting to do, right? And you might also say, hey, there's only 14 left-handed kids left. I'm a kind of visual person, so when I do these things, they're always arrows and bubbles floating around. I mean, you do whatever way makes sense. Now, can you see if somebody, if I showed this to somebody, you would look at that and say, what the heck is going on? But for me, would it not make sense? Because I'm writing down what I need to know to understand how to create these things. And so your job is to make notes that makes, because if you just look up the textbook, won't you get a textbook where it gives you a question that might not even be close to the one you're being asked to do? And so the textbook's not your best friend in every question.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I see a part where it says practice tests and the final exam with solutions. Solutions
Yeah.
to test 1. Is that for the midterm or the final exam?
Now that's practice for the midterm. You'll find some examples there and some worked examples. It's just another resource.
Okay.
It was designed a different way because it was designed for a class that had 4 tests and a final. So if you wanted to look at the questions, I think the first 2 tests are mostly what will be in the midterm.
Okay.
The final's a little bit better because the final is all inclusive. So when you come to do the final, it's on everything. So the final one's better practice. Although the first half of the final is good practice because it's got, you know, the first half of the work in it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, as people are happy and got what they want, I guess you can leave. Some people might have more questions and that's fine as well. So I'm here till everybody's happy. Any more questions? We're not going to ask James for a joke, agreed? How many times have I taken you? How many classes have you taken with me, James?
I think it was just 2 others.
So that's why I can insult James, because he knows I don't mean it, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I guess I just have a question about like, is there a practice or anything, or should we just go through like on WebAssign all the
Go
questions?
through your homeworks. Now, if you go back to WebAssign, there's a little thing that you click and it says past homeworks. And you know,
Yeah.
you can go in and look at your answers and read the questions and read your answers and anything else. Because that's where your questions are coming from, right? And it wouldn't surprise me if some of the questions you end up doing are carbon copies of homework questions with the numbers changed, right? So that's the best place to look, right? I just essentially I go into WebAssign and I just pick questions and I pull them, as I talked about earlier. Like 25-ish questions. And
Is it essentially like 5 questions for each chapter, 4 questions from each chapter?
nah.
Yeah.
Some stuff is easy and you only get a couple of questions. Some sections are really important and you get a lot more questions. The early stuff tends to be, no, that's not true. Some of the early stuff tends to not be that big, whereas there's a lot of stuff in probability for starters, right?
So